Hey, it's a very wet Breton coach here, and today I am at Dovetail Brewing on Malt Row in Ravenswood, Chicago, to check out their beers. And keep watching to see what made me say this. Basically, they have a giant pool full of beer, about 2 feet deep. Dovetail focuses in on Czech, German, and Belgian beers, so that'll be the overall style for all of them today. So to jump right into it, this is our first round of drinks here at Dovetail. This is the Baltic Porter. It is the darkest lager that they have with notes of raisin, chocolate, and coffee, and it has an ABV of 6.6. Decent beer smell to it, not really getting the notes of the tasting menu. It's nice. I don't know if I'm necessarily getting those huge notes like they're saying. I do understand how it does have a little bit of raisiny flavor to it. It is a nice dark lager that I do enjoy. Do I think it's anything mind-blowing? Not specifically, but I will start off and say that usually Dovetail's style of beer isn't something that Brian and I necessarily drink. We can appreciate it, but we usually lean more towards sours, IPAs, stouts, that sort of thing, more East or West Coast style versus more continental Europe, which they do here. And to rate this, I would probably give it a 6.5. And then this is the Weizenbach, which has notes of honey and banana, which is a taproom exclusive, and it's a 6.7% for ABV. It does have some of those more fruity, florally notes. Usually I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to like banana or bubblegum hops, which this kind of gives me the scent of. I don't mind it. I like that little bit of sweetness. I get more of the honey versus the banana. It does have that gummy texture almost with that bubblegum banana hop that I'm not the biggest fan of, but overall I would drink this as well. I would give this a 6.
My try of the Baltic Porter. It's light, easy to drink. It's got that porter taste to it, but it's not overpowering by any means. 6.5. The Weizenbach definitely has that banana and a little bit of honey to it, like it says. 7.
Dovetail likes to do things a little bit more by the book. They like to say that they brew like monks, just without the vows, holding up a lot of traditions of beer making, specifically European style. They even import their own hops and barley from Europe, and they try to match the water profile as close as possible too. So that's kind of like the general idea behind Dovetail and what they strive to set out to do. And that means it's time to try another beer. This is the Winter Hoppen Lager. It is their take on like a winter ale, but it's still a lager. Has some more Christmassy notes to it. I enjoy the smell. Light, refreshing, smooth, a little bit bitter on the aftertaste. I'd probably give this a 6.5 as well. Will I seek it out? Not necessarily, but I do enjoy it from the tap room. This is the Hopfenweiss, which is a hoppier version of the Hefeweizen, and it has notes of grapefruit, gooseberry, and papaya. I expected more of a fruity floral scent from it, while this just smells a little bit more traditional Hefe. I'd give this a 7.5. I think this is the best thing so far that we've had. It does have that little bit of fruit floral taste without being overly bitter, has a little bit of funk to it without being overpowering. Yeah, no, I really enjoy this one. Favorite one so far.
Winter Hopfen Lager. That's a good combination of a lager with a little bit of hop, a little bit of bite to it. I like the combination of different styles and mix them together. 6.5. Hopfenweiss. Another combination of things. A little hoppy, nothing strong, smooth. I'll give this a 7.
Dovetail does a bunch of events, including Mayfestiversary and Oktoberfestiversary, where they partner up with Beguile, but they do have other events throughout the week, especially a bunch of different happy hours, game nights, that sort of thing. But a big event that I want to shout out is they actually host an origami sip and fold. It is actually hosted by a friend of mine. If you've actually seen my Uptown Tap and Drag video, Tie Me Up, he was one of the performers that night, but when he isn't performing, he's doing a bunch of origami events, including here. So definitely check that out. I will put a link below to that event if you wanted to stop by and fold some origami. They do have food pop-ups throughout the week, and they do have a little bit of bar food, which is actually sponsored by Beard and Belly. They have pretzels and sausage sticks that you can buy, so you can have a little bit of that German food with the German beer. But let's place our food order with the pop-up. So this little pop-up is actually a mix of Colombian and Polish food, which that is an interesting crossover of cuisine. We got the beef pierogies, which I'm assuming is like an empanada and a pierogi hybrid. So let's dive in and see what we actually think. This should be a chunk of beef. Very umami, salty, meaty. This would be one of the empanada pierogies. It does come with 5. That's really interesting, actually. Nice chew to it. Interesting filling, savory. I like the sauce on it. A little bit of a cuisine adventure for the day. Oh, I'm glad I've tried it. Dovetail does do Mayfestiversary coming up at the end of May, which they do in between the Dovetail tap room and next door of the Beguile tap room. So they kind of close off the block or two and just have a really nice party, a lot of music, a lot of fun, and a lot of beer releases. So Brian and I will probably volunteer for Mayfestiversary like we did for Oktoberfestiversary, and we just checked on the date for Mayfestiversary. It is the 24th and 25th of May, so make sure you check that out. Make sure you stop over and you can really see the best that Malt Row has to offer and get to eat plenty of food from all the food trucks too. We are straying away on this round from their more typical stuff. They do have things that they call their spontaneous beers, which are spontaneously fermented, which are a little bit more fruit saison-y. This is the Framboise, which is made with raspberries, and it's been aged 1 to 2 years in oak barrels. Strong, fruity scent with that little bit of funk behind it. Has that sour funk, but still pretty clean, pretty tart. I'd probably give this a 7.5 as well. This is a little bit more up my alley than some of their other beers, so I'm really glad I grabbed this for my next drink. And then this is the bourbon barrel-aged Rauchbier. A little bit of a mouthful. Hopefully the flavor is a mouthful too. It is a darker version of the Rauchbier with more chocolate and fruity notes. It did spend some time in bourbon barrels, and it says it has notes of chocolate-covered plums. It is also a smoked beer too, so we'll see how that goes. Very strong smoked scent. That's the main and only scent note that I'm really getting. I think I've only ever had one other smoked beer, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. This one's definitely better, but it has that burnt wood flavor that I don't know if I really like in my beers. It's almost a little too savory for me for a beer. Personally, I'd probably give it a 4, but for what it is, I'd probably give it a 6.5.
My take on the Framboise. Definitely fruits on the nose. That's delicious. The oakiness and the bite, that's very good. Definitely a sipper of a beer. I would give that an 8. Now, the bourbon barrel Rauchbier. Wow, it does smell like burnt wood. It's very interesting, quite complex. I do like my bourbon barrel-aged stout, so you get that at the front for sure. And then as it goes down, that burntness comes in at the back end. Very complex. It's not super heavy. It's a very interesting taste. 7.5.
We are sitting in the main room, not at the bar, but very close to it. Usually when they have bigger events, they'll actually open up upstairs, which is a whole area with a bunch of different picnic tables. We've been there for a couple different releases, and they have like a Christmas pop-up market throughout the holiday season that they open up that for, as well as Mayfestiversary and Oktoberfestiversary, and it's just a really cool chill space for more people to have seating. And since it is raining, we are inside, but normally they do have their patio open in the spring and summer months. That's really nice, but unfortunately we are inside trying to stay a little bit more dry than standing out in the rain. But now let's actually look at their merch throughout the tap room. And they have a couple different racks of hoodies and t-shirts, which are a lot of fun for sure. And they even have some clothing for the kiddos, as well as hats, glassware, bandanas, and koozies at decent prices. This is the alt beer, which they describe as literally the old style of German beers. The tasting notes are malty, bitter, but still balanced. Typical beer scent, nothing too intense. Not a whole lot of flavor notes going on. It could be because I've had a few different types of drinks, so might not be getting the truest flavors from it. I think it works well overall. I don't think there's a huge, strong flavor profile to it, but it is pretty sippable. You could definitely have 1 or 2 or 3 of these even and be perfectly happy. I'd probably give it a 6.5 overall. And this is the Helles Lager, which is one of their flagship beers, coming in at 4.4%. Typical Helles scent. I have high hopes for this considering it is a flagship. Not the biggest flavor, but still very traditional, which I can appreciate what that is. Pretty drinkable. I would say it's for the masses instead of trying to really punch up the flavor. It's for everyone. I'd probably give this a 6.
This is the alt beer. I don't know. I just don't like this. I don't like the taste of it. I don't have much to say on this one. I just don't like the taste of this. It just tastes like dirt and water. Not for me. I'm going to say 2 out of 10. Now the Helles Lager, I love the color. Very golden, clear, looks great. A little bit of foam on top. I'm excited. Good flavor, not too much. Easy drinking. I can understand why they do this all year round. And you're right, Brett. I think this is the everybody's drink. It's delicious. It's good. I'll give this a 7.5.
If you are interested in checking out more of the brewery, I know that they do tours on Saturday at noon. And with that, Brian's actually been up in their little brewing area and saw that they have an open air fermenter. Basically, they have a giant pool full of beer about 2 feet deep to really get more flavors and really just getting a different style of beer. So it's really cool, something that you can check out. And I do believe that you get a couple different pours, and each tour is $18. And for our last round, this is the Pils, not a Pilsner. It is a German Pils. And the flavor notes are described as a fancy charcuterie cracker. A little bit dry, weedy, snappy, but a lot of fun. Okay, it does have that weedy, biscuity smell to it. Ooh, that is like biting into a cracker. Has a little bit of crispness, has that little bit of like biscuity wheat flavor. I actually really enjoy this. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it this much. I'd probably give it a 7.5. I think it's really good and really sippable that you could have 2 or 3 of these without getting sick of it. And then this is the Kolsch, which is described as a little fruity, a little spicy, and very drinkable. Doesn't have too heavy of a scent on it. Typical Kolsch flavors, not the strongest, not the most overpowering. Another one of these beers that you could have a couple of them and not get sick of, but it's more than just some random light beer. It definitely has a bit more flavor. I'd probably give this a 6.5 overall, and I will say Dovetail has had a pretty good showing for their beers overall. We tried a very wide variety as well as some of their flagships to really get a well-rounded picture. Granted, I'm not the biggest fan of like the traditional Belgian, German, European style, but I can really appreciate it for what it is.
This is the Pils. Light, good flavor, easily drinkable. It's got some good flavor to it. Not my type of beer, but I still appreciate that it's quite good. For what it is, I will give it a 7. Onto the Kolsch. I like the lighter color to it. It's a little bit more see-through. Not too much on the nose, but let's have a taste. That doesn't taste like a typical Kolsch. It's usually you taste something on the back end there, but this one just kind of just tastes like not too much. This would be wonderful on a hot day. You would chug this because this tastes light, easy, refreshing. I'm gonna give this an 8.
So this has been Brett and Coach here at Dovetail Brewing, trying a bunch of their beers, obviously. Let me know in the comments below if you've dabbled in any German-style beers, and if so, what is your favorite? Otherwise, leave me a like. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And as always, I will see you next time in Coach.